Okay guys, what is up? I'm back here to go over the recent meetings. So basically the outcomes of the back-to-back recent meetings in Capitol Hill and Washington D.C. What happened there? They talked about how to handle this situation of blockchain and cryptocurrency, especially exchanges, delicately. And I think this is a good point because they never mention their effects on the markets. They don't want people to lose money, but then all these regulations coming at once and all this negative talk is crashing the markets or contributing to the market crash. So I like the fact that they said they should handle it delicately, as well as another many good points that were brought up in this meeting, positive points that I'm going to go over with you and share with the outcomes of this meeting with you. So again, they talked about success in blockchains used in food and shipping ledgers, even mentioning and looking into the quantum computer threat if or when it is a concern. So this meeting was with public industry leaders, so blockchain officials and regulators or government officials. So they actually, in this one, as opposed to the last SEC hearing, asked people that have lived, eaten, slept, and worked in blockchain and cryptocurrency to give their input, which is very good. So there's a lot of positivity that will come out of this in this video. I'm not the media, the mainstream media, so I'm not going to twist this and make it negative. I'm going to share what positives we can get out of this. So also talk about how the markets and investors should be who choose which projects have value and which ones don't, not the government or regulators, which is another key important point. So I'm glad that they're starting to get the picture and starting to see from our perspective, and this is the best way to do that, is have people from the industry come in, traders and things like that come in and speak and share their experience, because these people are regulators. They're only going to have a biased view on this. And they also talked about how blockchain and DTL, distributed ledger technology, can be used as a tool for government watchdogs and regulators, that they should be happy. And this is something that I've seen over and over again. Every time they try to say people are human trafficking, people are money laundering, people are committing crimes with Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, actually is so far from the case. And this is a lousy excuse because of blockchain, distributed ledger technology, public ledgers that anyone can see what's going on. So it's actually more transparent than cash. Also, stay till the end, because we're going to share with you a letter explaining the new ABCA, American Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Association, explaining that a little bit, what it means for you and how you can be involved. So we'll be right back with more. Okay, so let's see what I've got ready for you guys here. I worked very hard on getting the key points together. So make sure you like and share this video. We'll remind you again in a second, in a couple minutes here. But this will be basically part of our Crypto Catch-Up series, where we share with you what's been going on in the past week in crypto. So you'd expect, bankers, governments, to be against this kind of technology naturally, because it kind of takes some of their power away. So when you hear bad things being said about it, the more angry they are against it, and the more they try to use their heavy hand in regulating, the worse it's going to be for them, and it's going to actually contribute to the crash of their system, and actually going to speed it up. So really, what they need to do is work with these industries. So they're also working and focusing a lot on education and rolling ads and things like that. And we'll get into more in that in our next video, but really, this meme kind of, sums up what I think they should do. Hand out USB sticks with 14 hours of Andreas Antonopoulos talking about Bitcoin. He is the expert. He's even went to multiple Senate hearings, especially here in Canada. He's always asked to come talk at these hearings. He knows a lot about both sides, and he works and lives Bitcoin, and he is a professional speaker. That's what he does. He's the best teacher there is on the subject. So this time they actually have Bitcoin business owners and people that are involved to come speak. And really, this is important for Bitcoin investors as well. This is who it's going to affect. So a lot of people aren't really focusing on this. They're just looking at how they can make a bunch of money, the next ICO they can invest in. I think this is very important to see what's going on behind the scenes for investors. This is part of, this meme here explains kind of what their concern is, right? And we see this happen over and over again. People hesitating spending $20 at the grocery store, hesitating to spend money on taxes, to spend money on their credit card bills, their debt, things they need, right? Education and things like this, but they'll easily spend thousands on crypto, and a lot of times, and it's getting more and more common, where you can lose your whole investment. So you have to be very careful. So there's a reason, this is part of the reason why they're focusing on this right now. And we can look at it like they're attacking us, or we can look at it like they're helping us, and really you create your reality. So what would you rather? What would you rather see it as? So we're going to try to see it as them helping us as much as possible, and not be those people with tinfoil hats on, thinking that the government's always out to get them. Because what we've seen in these meetings, these hearings, is they're just people. They're just people doing their job, and they're not really the ones that are going to be affected by cryptocurrencies and blockchain. The ones that are going to be affected the most are the head bankers and the military and things like that. People that would want to rig elections, people that would want to launder money, that want their black budgets, where people don't know what money is being spent on what. So really, for investors, the average investor, this is not a bad thing what's going on. It's not like they're trying to end or kill cryptocurrencies. So let's go over a couple key points that were said. So any proposed federal regulation on virtual currency platforms should be carefully tailored to the risks posed by relevant trading activity, and enhancing efforts to prosecute fraud and manipulation. Appropriate federal oversight may include data reporting, capital requirements, cybersecurity standards, measures to prevent fraud and price manipulation, and anti-money laundering, and know your customer protections. So guys, if you're planning or you're interested in doing things like pump and dumps, investing in ICOs, running an ICO, you have a couple month window before it's going to get almost impossible to do. We're seeing it get harder and harder and harder. And we'll share some stuff in our next video that's been going on, some people that have been shut down and things like that. This video is mostly focusing on these meetings and what happened, the outcomes of them, and what was said. And there was a lot of interesting and positive things said. So again, here's another quote. We owe it to this new generation to respect their enthusiasm for virtual currencies with a thoughtful and balanced response, and not a dismissive one, he remarked at the time. According to the CFTC chair, the agency will continue to pursue enforcement actions where necessary and continue advising and warning would-be investors. This morning, the agency published an advisory on the risk of cryptocurrency pump and dump schemes. Pump and dumpers are having to move from exchange to exchange because some exchanges are making it harder to pump and dump. During the Beyond Bitcoin Emerging Applications for Blockchain Technology hearing, the House Subcommittee on Research and Technology and the Subcommittee on Oversight asked a range of questions primarily aimed at getting a sense of which use cases have attracted the most attention today and could, in theory, wind up being used by the U.S. government itself. There you go. So they're not, they're changing their narrative a little bit. So, or we're understanding their narrative a little bit more. They're touching it up a little bit to make it not seem so negative, which is good for the markets, good for prices. If that end, the hearing called for examples of how the technology can be used both in the private sector and by the federal government. Representative Barbara Comstock stated, listing use cases by noting that her personal information was likely stolen, compromised by a data breach in the Office of Personnel Management. As a result, she said she was pleased to hear about efforts to create more secure identity management platform that uses blockchain as a means to encrypt data. Guys, this is amazing. We have the key and self-key, which even Microsoft in a recent story is saying they're looking into digital IDs on the blockchain. And this is something that I know for sure is going to be coming in the next year or so, where people are going to, it's no secret that people are going to start using less and less physical money, right? And now it's no secret that people are going to use less and less physical identification. We have way too many pieces of ID that we need. You can have it all into one digital identity. So one notable topic of exploration came through Chris Jang Karen, a cybersecurity analysis from the Congressional Research Office, who discussed the tech's use for underpinning voting systems. Wow. This is getting talked about in Congress. This is good. The blockchain doesn't record the vote. It records the person, the identity, the voting, and the voting. The vote itself is stored on another secure system, he explained. Wow. And even after this supposed election hack, this will be the savior. And one of the main use cases I see for blockchain that should be here already, voting on the blockchain. The blockchain is made for voting, in my opinion. Also financial transactions, but voting and identity. Those are three main ones. Three main things. They also mentioned a couple other things in here, like shipping and the food industry. Frank Llanas, Vice President of Food Safety, Walmart Inc., detailed his company's work with blockchain in the subcommittee members, explaining how the retail giant is using the tech to track food shipments. Yana spoke on the pilot projects the retail giant had concluded already, explaining that blockchain has already seen success in helping track food supply chains. He explained, in 2017, Walmart and IBM decided to trial blockchain to track mangoes from store to store. One notable topic, I'm going backwards here. One particular area was honed in is quantum computing, which some have warned could undermine the security of blockchain systems. These concerns are being considered, but are at least 15 to 30 years away from becoming a reality, Romine explained. And this also coincides with a video we did in the past talking about quantum computers and how I think we said it was 10 to 15 years off, 10 to 15 years away. So 15 to 30 years is what the government is saying, or at least this expert is saying. So no worry about that yet. And we're also creating quantum-proof blockchains as we speak. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which those ones might be the ones for long-term investments, the ones, because as soon as some blockchains get quantum computer breaches, the value might go down, and the value of the ones that are quantum-proof might go up. So the CFTC Technology Advisor Committee hosted back-to-back panels on cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and regulations during its meeting on Wednesday. The meeting brought together influential figures from both the public and private sectors, with participants primarily raising issues related to markets, the regulation of new technologies, and the role of regulators in participating in the development of the technologies. Indeed, the event had one tangible outcome from the get-go. Just prior to the break, the committee approved the creation of two subcommittees, with one devoted to cryptocurrencies and the other on a broader application of distributed ledgers in the finance space. The event notably saw Brian Quinten's call for self-regulatory efforts around cryptocurrencies, a position he reportedly expressed during a pre-event press conference. He made a similar pitch at the Yahoo Finance All Markets Summit crypto conference in New York last week. So he reiterated this position during his opening remarks, telling attendees the CFTC should not attempt to make value judgments about which new products are worthwhile and which are not. The markets, investors, and consumers need to decide that for themselves. Busca later suggested that blockchain could be a potential tool for regulators, highlighting how market watchdogs would operate their own nodes on a distributed network and be fed information in real time. The evolution of DLT, which is distributed ledger technology, could allow regulators to access data seamlessly every time a trade is posted on a particular blockchain without the need for human intervention or intermediaries. Committee members from the private sector expressed mixed views on cryptocurrency and blockchain regulation and the extent to which regulators should involve themselves. Charlie Cooper, managing director of R3, appealed to regulators to boost their involvement in the blockchain and cryptocurrency industry, saying, "We would ask as passionately as possible for the U.S. regulators and members of the agencies of the government to become more active than you already are." I wonder if this guy has some motivation behind this, or if he was told to say this. Kind of seems a little bit like that to me. I can tell you that there are federal governments around the world that are way outpacing the U.S. government, and that's a concern. but the rest was all positive. Obviously, we can expect a couple negative things in there. On Wednesday, the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, or the CFTC Technical Advisory Committee, TAC, held a public meeting in its Washington, D.C. headquarters. During the meeting, members of the Bitcoin and crypto asset industry shared information regarding this emerging market and offered guidance on how the CFTC may approach regulating the space in 2018. Multiple participants in the public hearing made comments to differentiate between different types of crypto assets and their associated technologies. So I pulled these quotes from different, probably like 6 or 7 different articles out there. You know, not every article says everything. So we got everything, all the key points here together. In the face of these issues found on crypto asset exchanges, Gorlick hit on the large scale of the over-the-counter or OTC market. Representatives from LedgerX and CME also provided updates on the state of the Bitcoin futures market later in the public hearing. After gathering information from representatives on the crypto asset industry and asking questions, the TAC voted unanimously to recommend that the CFTC create a new subcommittee focused on virtual currencies. So guys, make sure you like this video, hit that bell underneath the subscribe button, and share this on social media if you know some people that could benefit from this information. Also, we're going to now look into a little bit of a couple sites I have open here in that letter that I mentioned in the beginning with the ABCA. So, yes, I'm live. Sorry about that. Move that to the side. Over here. So, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. What the hell is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission in the first place? Well, the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission is an independent agency of the U.S. government. An independent agency of the U.S. government created in 1974 that regulates futures and options markets. Why it has to do with cryptocurrencies is because of ICOs. When people are giving you a token, something that they're saying will have either go up in value or go down in value in the future, or something that they're giving you, promising you in the future, this is a futures contract. So when you give Ethereum for an ICO and they say, okay, on this date we'll give you your tokens, or you can cash out in a month or so, that is a future in their eyes. That's how they can kind of twist that into being relevant to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. So one thing that's very important is the government doesn't give a crap about losing your money. Okay, America is on its way to $30 trillion in debt by 2028. They want you to lose your money. It looks like, at least with all the debt. The market cap of all cryptocurrencies is tiny compared to this debt. So we can't lose what they've already lost us. And the money that we're investing is our money that we've made. We've already made that money. They are $30 trillion in debt of money they do not have. So if anyone needs to be focusing on an issue or a problem, they should be focusing on this. So it's kind of a joke. You know, they're obviously, in my opinion, regulating cryptocurrencies because they don't want people to have the ability to profit. They don't want you to have power. They don't want the power taken away from them, and they don't want you to have a safe haven when their dollar crashes, which they're obviously trying to do. So they don't want you to escape this dollar crash, because if they crash the dollar, now they have you in the palm of their hands. You'll do anything they say for food stamps, for instance, or for whatever, because you can't afford it. That's the whole point. It's all about power, guys. It's all about control, and that's what cryptocurrencies are helping us get back. So I don't even like focusing on all this government stuff, what they're saying. That's why I looked at it in a positive way, showed you the positive things that are going on, so you don't have to hear it from someone else that is just going to lie to you. So I'll put this article down below, but yeah, the White House management and budget, the national debt will hit $29.9 trillion by 2028, and guess what? The country's current debt stands at a record of $20.6 trillion, its highest level since shortly after World War II. Why is it like this? Well, because of war. Why do they need war? Why are they so focused on war? Power, control. Again, their most important and their biggest priorities. So it's no surprise after you understand that what they're saying. You almost expect them to attack cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and that's why you know, I wanted to show you that most of these people are not the ones that have anything to lose. So they're just doing their jobs. So there's only, if you look at it like a pyramid, right? The top of the pyramid is very, very small, and they try to, you know, get all these people underneath them to do various agendas for them, but they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know the bigger picture, so they're just doing their jobs, right? So it's nice to hear what they feel and what they think is positive surrounding cryptocurrencies. It's only a very few handful of people that oppose this, or the people that listen to the media, which is owned and controlled by those powerful, you know, that top of the pyramid, right? So also, they should be focusing on things like this that I never hear them talk about, really, or they never try to stop. The IRS is warning of a new scam involving fake refunds. So basically what's happening here, the Internal Revenue Service is once again warning taxpayers of a new twist on an old scam, but they're not doing anything about it. They just have it on their website that it's an issue. They're not holding hearings. They're not trying to prevent this. They're not really doing much about it. So what they're doing is they're calling. They used to call claiming to be the IRS and ask for immediate payment, but now what they're doing is they're getting huge tax returns. So they're hacking into the IRS or tax services. So your accountant, they're hacking into all these little small tax businesses that do your taxes for you. They're changing the data so that people get a huge return, tax return. They let that tax return go into their bank accounts. So they let, you know, the person that's going to get this tax return, they allow it to go in that bank account because of new laws and stuff. They made it harder, not new laws, but they made it harder for people to, you know, just do these scams. One thing being, you know, if you're getting a tax return, it has to go in your bank account or something like that, right? They're usually attaching your name. So with credit cards, you have to have your name attached to that account if you're going to use that credit card on that account. Your address has to match, all this type of thing. So that's why the tax return goes into that person's bank account that it's supposed to be. Then they call that person with a recorded or real person message saying, oh, there was a mistake. We gave you too much money. Refund it to this address, or this give it to this person. Or so in another version, the taxpayer, so let's just go over the two versions. In one version of the scam, criminals posting Posing as debt collection agencies, officials acting on behalf of the IRS contacted the taxpayers to say a refund was deposited in error, and they asked the taxpayers to forward the money to their collection agency. Okay, in another version, it was a recorded automated call with a recorded voice saying they're from the IRS and threatens the taxpayer with criminal fraud charges and arrest warrants and blacklisting of their social security number. The recorded voice gives the taxpayer a case number and a telephone number to call and return the fund. So they'll only call if they're planning on returning funds. So this is actually very smart, but this has to do with cryptocurrencies, because when they say that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the reason, or throw Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in the same pot as all these scams, right? Can't you get scammed for buying Bitcoin? Can't you? Well, can't you get scammed if you pay your taxes? Isn't the IRS a huge outlet for scams? Yes, it is. So this narrative of cryptocurrencies, being susceptible to scams, well, they should just take away the IRS too, because that's susceptible to scams too. So if you look on the U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission website, you can see there's a section on Bitcoin, Bitcoin basics, an introduction to virtual currency, customer advisor, beware virtual currency pump and dump schemes. So this is new. They put on here, be aware of IRS approved virtual currencies, IRAs. CFTC backgrounder on oversight and approach to virtual currencies futures markets, virtual currency primer, virtual currency podcast, self-clarification sheet. There's all this information. So there's a section on Bitcoin you can check out. I'll try to share these links down below or on my Twitter. But what's important here is this. So this was a letter from the day before this meeting. So all these meetings took place on Valentine's Day. And that's why no one really focused on this. Everyone was talking about the last Securities Exchange Commission hearing. Nobody was talking about these recent meetings and how they, when they do a lot of these laws, pass a lot of these laws, create new organizations. They do it when people are distracted with other things, I've noticed. But so let's look at this a little bit, and I'll share the link for this, but I'll just show you what this is briefly. So it's organization. The organization is American Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Association, or ABCA. This is new. And this is going to be difficult. I'm going to have to try to capture this somehow. 1 second here. See if I can find it. Anyways, I'll just read it to you guys. It's a letter. At the top it says American Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Association. Thank you to the CFTC Technology Advisor Committee for holding this public meeting and for inviting written statements from interested parties. This is Commissioner Brian Quintens. So it goes on. there's a couple points here. ABCA supports thoughtful public engagement with federal regulators to inform the ongoing work of the CFTC and the SEC and others to resolve the question as to whether cryptocurrencies constitute actual currencies or securities. ABCA supports the need for consistent policy to the current landscape of state-by-state licensing of money transfer mechanisms. Opaque markets and uncertain exchanges discourage broader market participation, and the presence of exchanges creates vulnerabilities which sit atop blockchains, whose distributed nature aims to mitigate such threats. Examples: Silk Road, Mt. Gox, CoinCheck, etc. Now the CoinCheck victims are suing CoinCheck, if you didn't know. So cryptocurrency markets lack the tools which traditional markets have, e.g. collars, halts, 7% rule, etc., creating the potential to amplify volatility and market fragility. How can/will regulators frameworks introduce greater transparency to reverse the association with illicit finance? Will the public have a final decision on whether initial coin offerings or ICOs will be treated formally as initial public offerings or IPOs? What would the implication for further filings? What will the global regulatory environment look like, and how will it align across jurisdictions? So this is someone that's asking for information because, again, the ABCA is stating here that the American Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Association is a newly filed membership-driven non-for-profit trade association whose mission is to advance a vision for how distributed ledger technologies and cross-border innovations such as cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies can lead to sounder markets. Membership is open to a broad universe of stakeholders, from individuals to coin investors, to exchanges, miners, enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and even financial service firms. Guys, they're asking for your input. This is your chance to be involved in the regulatory process. For once, it's not too often that you get to be involved or your opinion matters. So I'd say we need to use this invitation. As well as corporations who are driving the blockchain evolution. To that end, ABCA engages with its broad stakeholder community through outreach, engagement, education, research, and advocacy work. So it was heartening to hear CFTC Chairman Giancarlo's testimony at February 6th. This was the past Senate hearing, 2018 Senate Banking Committee hearing entitled Virtual Currencies, the Oversight Role of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and the U.S. Commodities Futures Trading Commission. The ABCA also supports sensible regulation to strengthen and smooth markets and provide stability to this promising new economic environment. So you can write letters to this agency, and your voice actually matters. So I would do that if I lived in the States. If you're either, like they said, a business, an exchange, an individual, coin investor, miner, entrepreneur, and even financial service firm. So that's about all for today, guys. We'll see you on our next video where we're going to go over all sorts of things that are happening and going on besides this political crap that I don't even like to get into much, but I thought I'd do you guys a favor and sum it up in a short video as I can. So, peace.